This is Little Sparkle, welcome everyone. We all are teachers, we know it's hard to educate our kids and make them face real problems, to put together our strength and give them all our knowledge. My fellow friends, let's talk about it. We are here to talk and make it better. Kids and mental health all matter. Little Sparkle, the podcast for educators.
In 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it's Julie Walker, host of Little Sparkle. I'm back and I am here with a special guest, somebody very important to me. It is
Marissa.
She's actually my cousin, and so it's very important for me to have her on, and so, you know, just be warm and welcoming and all the good stuff, and welcome to this episode. So I don't have her on just because she's my cousin, even though I would totally have her on just because she's my cousin. But I also, this episode is going to be all about subbing and being a substitute, because she just became a substitute. Mm-hmm. Hasn't had a job yet because we are currently in summer here in Polk County. Yeah. I know some schools are still not quite out, and that sucks for you guys, and I'm so sorry. But we are out. I'm super excited about it. How are you feeling about summer break?
Well, it feels normal to me, so it's just like another day until I start school.
Yeah, so fall's going to be different for you then.
Fall.
Like, going back to school, and starting all that.
That's really weird.
So why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm about to be 28. I probably wanted to be a teacher, I'm pretty sure, when I was like 6 years old.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like everybody either wants to be that or an astronaut.
I never outgrew the wanting to be a teacher, but a lot of my friends did.
I'm pretty sure I kind of just outgrew it, and then I don't know, I just decided, I was just like, why not? Because the schedule was pretty flexible, and then I just thought it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and also, I mean, scheduling is so important, especially when you're a mom, and both Marissa and I are both moms, and he's getting to that age where he can start going to school. You know, you could do VPK next year if you wanted to, and so this schedule is definitely the best for parents. One perk for teaching. So, okay, what is something that you loved about school?
Well, it's probably just specific subjects that I thought were fun. I had probably, like, the amount of friends I had, I could probably count on my hand. So, definitely I liked art class, and I really liked language arts and like anything to do with like English. I was pretty good with. I really was into writing for a while.
Oh.
So.
I could see that. I think a lot of things artistic go well with you. So if you haven't, I'll see if I can somehow link in the description. Marissa has her own TikTok where she shows off her artistic makeup abilities. Blows you away. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I could see why art could probably be her favorite subject in school. I know we kind of talked about it, but you kind of hope that you can get some art classes to sub for, right?
Yeah, that would be super fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think once they saw your artistic ability, it would become, so you want to be a teacher?
I wish.
Oh, you could.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, well, I know you have to go to schooling and like, college for like art and stuff like that. I know that for sure. So
we'll talk after this. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. All right. What's something you hated about school?
Oh man, a lot of stuff. I think it was. I mean, some of the subjects. I think that's for everybody. But I had a really hard time in school. Probably like middle school and like
The
high
awkward
school.
years.
Yeah, and high school up until like my senior year, I had a really hard time with just butthole kids, and I really
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like a lot of the teachers, especially in middle school, like saw what was happening, or they just didn't really do anything, or didn't
Wow.
really care to like speak up about it.
Wow.
So
See, and that's
sucks.
something that like I take so serious in my classroom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna let go if you say something sarcastic to me. I'm probably gonna let go 90% of everything because like it's not worth the fight. But if I see you be mean to somebody and it's not warranted, like you're not a complete butthead and somebody's mean back to you, like you're just mean, I don't tolerate that.
Yeah. And I was painfully like shy. Like I never spoke.
Did you ever think you'd be on a podcast?
No. Not at all. I never thought I would even make a platform and like talk
Yeah.
on social media. That was pretty different for me.
Absolutely.
Because I like didn't speak at all for the entire time I was in school. Like I even remember like a guy that I just went to, like, you know, like the kids that you go to school with from, you know them but don't know them.
Right.
Like they're in elementary school all the way up until high school.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he like asked me if I had a pencil in high school. And I was like, yeah. And I turned around and gave it to him, and he looked at me like I killed someone. And I was like, what? And he's like, I just like have never heard you speak. I thought you had like a medical condition. I thought you were like a mute. And I was like,
Wow.
oh man. So
Dang.
I was like painfully shy. So like it was kind of just unwarranted, and they just, I don't know, I guess they just would pick at the fact that I was shy, maybe. I don't know.
Easy
I just
target
didn't,
is what they say, yeah.
And like, so it wasn't even warranted, and then like the teachers and stuff like that, it's just kind of like they just let it happen.
See, and I hate that.
Yeah.
I try to protect my shy kids at all costs.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, I think something I hated about school, this sounds terrible because I'm a teacher now and I collaborate with people, but I hated group projects
Oh yeah.
more than anything.
Those suck too.
Yeah, and it's funny because now as a teacher, I give a ton of group projects, but I do not just like, here's your project, have at it. Like everybody gets a job, and I try to make it more fair than it was back when I was in school.
Yeah, I'm guessing you probably ended up being the person who had to pull all the weight, or the
Yes.
whole like everybody
Yes.
failed.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hated that. And then the other thing I hated was reading out loud. I would
Ooh,
count the
that
kids
was
in front of
bad.
me and count my
Yes.
paragraphs.
You'd mentally prepare for it.
I didn't hear anything else in that story. I only knew my paragraph.
Not retain a thing, and
Not a
you're just
thing.
focused on when you're gonna go next.
Mhm.
That was so nerve-wracking.
I have never made kids read out loud in my room because of that.
Yeah, that because like they're not gonna retain anything, like you said, especially for like, you know, like shy kids and stuff. Oh my gosh, like especially like going up in front of the class and talking or doing projects alone and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
will
gosh, that's
say
so scary.
you're like, gosh, that sucks. You're a terrible teacher. I do try to make them present their projects when they do individual projects. Mainly because I got all the way to high school / college and had to take a speech course, and I had never stood in front of a class to speak. And I froze.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, if I can get you in 5th grade, at least presenting your stuff, maybe you'll make it. Like maybe
Yeah.
you'll get to high school and be okay.
Well, I feel like it's a little different too in elementary school.
Yeah.
You know, like at least, I don't know, I'd imagine, because you're still a kid, so like things don't really affect you nearly as much, you know, like as like the middle school and the high school. Like,
Terrible years.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. And I know that like you are supposed to do that to prepare them, you know. It's
Yeah.
just, it was so, the whole thing is so scary.
Yes. Okay, so we're getting down to the main reason we're here, and I have kittens everywhere and they're crawling all over me. But Marissa just became a substitute for our county, and it was an interesting process. So you want to tell everybody about it? Because I found it fascinating as a teacher. We sit around and we're like, how do they find these people?
Yeah.
There's some subs that we're like, you're gold and we love you and we don't want you to ever go anywhere and I will put you on my list and I will whatever. But then there's some subs that we're like, what? So
Where did you come from?
right.
The process is really easy. Like, you pretty much, I mean, you just gotta you just have to have a good a clean background and pass your drug test.
That's a good thing.
That's it. You know, oh, and your high school diploma. That's it. And I didn't even know that. I thought you had to have some sort of like certificate or something. No. You do go through, like, they have training courses on, you know, like their website where you go through, you have to read everything and then you take a test after. But the test you're allowed to take as many times as you want until you pass. And then when you pass, you just upload the thing.
Wow. I wish I could have done that.
Yeah. So they give you like a million I mean, they just said, like, keep taking it until you pass.
Right.
And I mean, some of it was a little thorough. Like, you gotta have 2 reference letters of recommendation from 2 people. Certain things like that. But credential-wise, you don't have to have a certificate or go to any schooling at all. Like, it's just, you have to have your high school diploma, have a clean background, pass drug test, and that's it. Pretty much.
Right.
I mean, because you could just skim through that thing if you wanted. I mean, I read it, but I feel like if you read it, you pass it on like the first try. I passed it on the first try, but you could easily just keep clicking until you figure out what the answers are, and then just click them again, and like go however many times to pass.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Literally anybody could do it, kind of. I mean, pretty much. So
I was a para-educator before I became a teacher, and for that I had to have 60 college credits, and I had to pass, or 60 college credits, or pass what's called the Para-Pro exam. It was like $80, and I passed it the first time. I wasn't quite at my 60 credits. I was probably shy about 15 or so credits, and I just knew, like, I at the time I was doing overnight care for special needs, and it was a lot for me. It was a lot for anybody at that age. I was 19, 20. I think that was too much for that age, and so I was like, I can't keep doing this. I want to be a para, and or I want to work for the school board, because it felt like the right thing. And so I went and I took that test, and I passed it first time and became a para. I don't know if they still offer the test, but the stability of being in the classroom all the time, learning the ins and outs, really is what made me the teacher I am now, because I learned all that stuff prior to being in charge of my own classroom. So I say all the time, like, get as much experience as you can if you ever want to go in the classroom, because it's just going to help you. It's going to help you see things the right way. It's going to help you have the right mind frame, and just all sorts of things. But I do think if I had thought about it, actually back when I was doing it, you see, I'm old. Back when I was doing it, you had to pay $100 to become a substitute. I didn't have $100 to my name. I had the $80 to my name. So that's where I was like, this was the cheaper option. But I mean, I probably would have subbed for a little bit first had I thought about, or had the money.
Is the paraprofessional, is that like the long-term sub? Or
no, that is like classroom helpers.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I was mixing up the two, because I know on our, like, there's a training thing where it's like it's like very strict on like the relationship between the sub and the paraprofessionals.
Oh.
It's very weird.
Interesting. I didn't even know that would be a thing.
Yeah, it's pretty odd. Like, I can't remember all of it, but I know like some of it was, I think you have to go by what the teacher leaves and not listen to like the paraprofessional. Don't let the paraprofessional like take charge of the class. You were supposed to, kind of thing. It's very weird.
Huh. See, as a para, I was a para in the ESE classrooms, and so I knew those kids in and out. I subbed for my teacher who was gone at meetings all the time. And I actually wrote her lesson plans there at the end because I was doing school at the same time. I needed the planning, or I had to write them. And I don't like to do things for no reason, right? So like, I'm like, hey, what's our topic for next week? I'll write the lesson plans so that I could turn it in for school and then we could use it. So I think I would have been like really annoyed had a sub come in and been like, nope, we're doing it my way. I'd be like, I wrote the lesson. Like,
Yeah,
you know?
that's why I was confused, because I'm like, wouldn't the teacher's aide kind of be more experienced, and because they're in that specific classroom
Right.
every single day.
Yeah.
So you'd imagine you'd want to go to that person if they're there when the teacher's absent, not
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, you gotta listen to what the teacher leaves you, or like if the teacher doesn't leave the lesson plans and you're screwed, like they have all those other procedures that you're
Yeah.
supposed to do, but you're not supposed to ask the paraprofessional. It's just odd to me.
I guess, so I'm going to give you a little advice on that. I would feel out the paraprofessional first. Some paraprofessionals are like, not my job, I ain't doing any of that. But some are like, this is my stepping stone to being a teacher. And so they
Yeah.
take it seriously. And I would just feel them out and be like, do you want to tell me what you know? Or, and just
Yeah.
kind of see what they think first. Because the last thing you want is for the teacher to come back and the para go, that was a terrible sub.
Yeah, because they have a tight relationship there with them
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to just make them upset, and then them just be like, don't, like next time, like when you're sick, like make sure that they don't.
Yeah.
Show up.
No, I don't. I mean, I could understand maybe, not putting everything on the para because as a teacher, I don't put everything on the para.
Like asking.
Yeah, but
like-
just treating them as a human being.
yeah, like
Um,
know.
somebody who has some experience,
yeah,
Odd.
it was a little weird.
That is strange. As teachers, we have no idea what they're doing to train you guys. Like we honestly sit back and go, how did they what?
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that I've heard from some subs, it's like what to do when a teacher doesn't leave sub plans. I think this was something you told me too, is that they tell you to go ask a neighbor, right?
Yes.
Not every neighbor is teaching the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, also, I would just feel very weird because I remember back being in high school, your neighboring, teachers were not teaching the same subject
Right.
next door. Like, you would have, English and then math or something. I don't know. Sometimes they're not all right there. It's just
Right.
very weird. And then, those specific classes that don't have electives, medical academy, they didn't have another teacher for medical academy. It was only one class.
Right.
But yeah, they say that's your first they say go to the neighboring classroom and try to talk to that teacher, and go up to the front office, and then if they still don't have anything, just try your best to search around the room for the lesson plans, and
So,
that was pretty much it.
oh my god. Okay, so many things to unpack. First, my first line of defense would be go to the office, because at every school, their teachers are supposed to turn in emergency sub plans to the office for if they're ever out. This is something that's due from us within the first couple weeks.
And it's mandatory.
Mandatory. Everybody's supposed to turn it in. So, for me, I would think your first line of defense would be go to the office, because they'd either give you a lesson plan or they'd say, here's the team lead for that group. That's the person you need to ask.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't understand bothering your neighbor when A, they could not be teaching the lesson or not know anything about that classroom, or B, they could also be a sub, because that tends to be a thing right now, is there's just a bunch of substitutes in one hall at a time. And it could end up causing more problems, really. And then teachers, leave your lesson plans. I don't understand why you would think it's a good idea to just, I'm not going to be there, I'm not going to leave anything. Even if for some reason you don't have a laptop at home, you get sick middle of the night, it's so easy to text your teammates and say their book is on the back table, have them do these pages. So simple. And if people are doing their lesson plans the way they're supposed to be doing their lesson plans, there should be a week's worth of lesson plans sitting on the desk anyways. I'm passionate about this because we're gonna have to break that. Okay, so passionate about this because I feel like we as teachers, we're undervalued, yes, but if we're treating people the way we're being treated, we're no better than them. And so at the end of the day, we're professionals, we need to be professional. I mean, it's just like if there's, you know, a CEO at, let's just take Publix, for example. The CEO at Publix gets sick. Well, he's got meetings or he's got things he has to go do. He's got papers he needs to get done. It doesn't just go away for the day. He's going to have to delegate who's doing what and at least get his secretary to take care of his meetings. You don't just ignore the problem. You take care of it. You're responsible, and then everything can be taken care of. Like, I have seen, and you're not going to believe this, but I have seen people call out first thing in the morning and literally leave nothing. So no sub, no lessons, nothing. It's baffling to me. I don't get it. Especially, did you know the school board is 1-to-1 technology right now? All kids have iPads. Every single one. Yes. And we have access to their iPads from our computers. So for me, when I'm absent, I upload videos of what to do, me explaining the work. I put their work online. I put the directions online. And then I print all that out for my sub.
Oh, wow.
So literally, as long as the sub is watching the kids and making sure the kids are doing what's on that list, that's all I have to do.
Should be easy, yeah.
Should be an easy day. But some teachers don't do that. So it's unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So how do you feel about this upcoming year and subbing? Like, are you excited? Are you nervous?
I'm kind of excited, I guess more so nervous about it, just because I haven't been in a school since since I graduated high school. So, and then like the talking in front of like a large group of people, well, kids, is a little nerve-wracking to me and intimidating for sure. And then also they kind of play up the sub role as if you're gonna be the physical teacher for that subject for the day, which is a little nerve-wracking as well, because when I remember subs, I remember when my teacher's absent, you're kind of stuck with like a busy work day or something. Not like, okay, well, this sub is going to be teaching the chemistry that I was planning on doing for that day.
That don't happen.
Making sure that you guys understand it, which is a little scary because it's like,
I have never met a teacher that's actually going to leave you the subject matter.
Yeah,
Never.
I always remember getting busy work.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, and I will say there might be times where I do leave something that I've taught like maybe once before, but I leave a video with it.
Yeah.
Like I would never leave the actual subject matter because you don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
And we as teachers know that. Like we could get somebody who like I tell you what, there was a sub this year that sat on the teacher's table. I have a student who videoed it. Sat on the teacher's table, cursing at the kids, throwing food at them, throwing paper wads at them. I mean, like literal video evidence of this. So yeah, I'm not leaving the actual subject for subs. Like I would just never, because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my kids' data.
Especially now, because it's really easy to just become a sub. Like,
Yeah.
I hate
Mellow.
to say it, but like it's a really easy thing to do. Like I did it, and I mean, yeah, like some of it's a little tedious. Like it's like a list. Like you got to get this, and this done. But it's not something that is gonna hinder somebody from getting hired.
Yeah.
Like it took me less than a week to
Yeah.
get everything finished. And like I said, I remember back in the day, I remember looking up that you need a certificate in order to, like, you have to go through like a class in order to become a sub. And I'm wondering if that has changed now, because I remember something about like teachers can become teachers if their spouse is in the military. And I remember hearing that.
That's interesting.
And reading about that, and
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, because I was pretty baffled, and I'm like, if your spouse is in the military, you can just become a teacher. And
maybe there's a program?
I don't know, but
We'll have
I
to
was
look
just
it up.
like, I mean, I don't know if they're just very desperate on.
Say hi to Zena. She's a hot mess. Her children are running around the house currently. 3 of them. I'm a grandma. It's okay. Yeah, well, definitely have to look that up. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know that, like, they're desperate on teachers. Or they're very,
Yeah,
you know,
we're 700. We're behind by 700 teachers. We're in need of 700 teachers. That's the right way to put it. And then there was something like where there's a shortage of subs. Like a 300. No, it's got to be around. And here's Mello. It's got to be around the same number of vacancies that we have, because there's not enough subs to fill those vacancies. And like say my school right now has a couple openings. I love my school, by the way. If you're interested, let me know. But my school has a couple openings, and if we can't get a teacher by the first day of school, he's ridiculous, then we put a sub in there, and the sub has to teach the subjects. So
yeah,
now,
like the long-term sub, right?
yes,
So
that's
it's like
long-term.
You're
Now,
pretty much a teacher.
yes, but those, did you know to be a long-term sub, you have to have a bachelor's degree?
Are you sure?
That's what they told us.
I don't think so, because you can decide that you want to be a long-term sub.
Really?
Yeah. So you have.
They're lying to us.
So basically, you can decide if you want to be a long-term sub for a specific person who's out for a long period of time as well. And when you're there for a certain amount of days, you get paid a little bit more, and then eventually you get paid by the hour, being a long-term sub for that teacher. So you just get paid slightly more, and it's an optional thing that they said you can decide to do. Like, you can just stick with picking, a specific one for the day, or even the person who needs a long-term sub, if they're out for like a couple months or something. You can just pick a certain amount of days that you want to help, or you can just pick the whole thing.
Wow.
And just be that sub for
See,
so
well, then that's changed
live
since.
into you.
That's changed since I had my son. Then they must really be desperate.
I checked like last year, I'm pretty sure, about being a sub.
Yeah.
Or maybe a year prior, but like it was it felt very recent.
Wow.
And you had to get a certificate. I feel like they've just changed everything because they're getting desperate or something.
Yeah, well, it's a thankless job, and the segment we're about to do is going to show you why it's a little scary. And I'm not doing this to scare you, so we're going to talk through it and what would we do. So let's get into that segment, shall we? So this segment is called, I thought I was being funny with it, Blind Reaction. So welcome to Blind Reaction. All right, so I found it's not a Reddit, but it's like a sub that somebody posed a question, and then a bunch of teachers and I think students might have answered. It's on Quora. I don't know if anybody else knows about that, but the question is, what's the worst substitute teacher experience you've ever had? And I at first I was like, wait a second, like I'm not saying she's a bad sub, so I'm not going to do this, but listen to this. As a teacher, this is Annabelle Lee. None. I always had well-prepared lessons for them. Frequently, I got notes from the sub saying I owned a place in heaven or such. I taught remedial math. The kids can be difficult. As a sub, this happened in January. I was taking attendance. I'm I am given a list of the students' names as registered. I always start with, I apologize in advance if I do not pronounce your name right. I will try my best. Second, I call attendance by the name on the sheet. I do not know you, and I don't know your nicknames or names you go by. I'm here for one class period with you only. You need to answer. Here, to the name you're registered under. You have no idea how many junior high kids go by some other name. In the South, it's every kid. I was calling attendance in a 6th grade math class, and one person did not respond. Before marking someone absent, I count the class and reread the name I got no response to. On this day, the name was simple. It wasn't a matter of mispronunciations. I recalled and got no answer. It was a class of 30. I said, I'm not going to spend any more time on this. If blank doesn't respond to their name, I will mark them absent. A young 6th grader said, hey, you bleep, bleep, ugly old white woman. I don't need to answer any old bleep, white bleep. I called the office and told them to send a replacement. I was on my way home. The principal chased me out, begging me to stay. He said there was something in the air, probably in the air. I said yes, total lack of control. Every day that school asks for many subs, the jobs don't get filled. So what would you do if that was you can see the curse words that were used. This is a wholesome group, or this wholesome podcast. We don't use those words. So what would you do?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I don't even know like where to begin with that. Mm-hmm. I'd probably just tell them to like just leave the classroom. Like just please go like to the principal somewhere. I don't know. So like go somewhere, and then probably like after the class I'd like go and cry in the bathroom.
Don't do that because this kid probably has problems. So the sarcastic teacher that I am would be like, so absent. Check that off. And I would have marked him absent for the day. Because you clearly did not do the thing that I asked you to do. True. So you're going to be absent for the day. And then when somebody questions me on it, which they probably would, I would leave a note and I would say, this is what the kid said. They did not say here. Like, you're absent. Now you have to tell your parent what you said. Because your parent's going to be asking you why you were absent for the day.
Yeah. Because
I don't know if you know this, but if you're absent, you get a phone call from the school board that says your kid is not in class today.
Okay, yeah, true.
So don't get mad. Don't feel sad. Just get even. I hate to say it that way, but some of these kids don't realize there's consequences to their actions. And if you're going to be using ugly words and not do what I asked you to, then you're absent for the day.
That'd be a good recovery, too. Like, them just cussing you out like that, and then you're just like, so absent. That'd be pretty funny. I don't think I could mentally handle it. I would just probably just be like, please go to the principal's office. I'm going to go write this for you so you can go to the principal's office. Oh, and then I would probably just have like a stone cold like face, like it didn't affect me, and then probably go. Maybe I might be able to hold it inside until I get home or in my car, but definitely probably cry.
Well, I'm sorry. Don't just. It's okay. It's okay. And I've taught 5th graders. Oh God. For a long time, and the reason I have gone for the older kids is because they can understand my sarcasm, and usually, like, I have had situations like this come up before, and I've done something like what I just said, where I was like, so absent. The class will rip on that kid. Like, they will give them no breaks. Like, that lady just got you. And then it's kind of like, oh, so I can't get away with this the rest of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it just, showing them that you're a person too, and that you can handle, like, what they say doesn't matter. Because honestly, at the end of the day, they're children. The medulla oblongata is not formed or whatever. And they don't know what they're doing or what they're saying. And he probably hears crap like that at home.
Yeah, that's true.
So, all right. Kindergarten. morning class. I love the way this person starts. Like, I love a good, like, one word sentence that gets you really going. I had a note to send a little boy for meds at mid-morning or he would turn into a monster. Native American boy, hair down to his waist, looked around. Must be absent. Reported him absent. Uneventful morning. Put the kids on the bus to go home. Conversation with the bus driver to say that specific child was absent. Bus driver dropped several children off at the same place, and that child's father was really upset when his kid didn't get off the bus. He called the mom to accuse her of having picked up the kid in violation of the custody schedule. Mom told him she didn't have the kid and cursed him out, setting the tone for the calls for both parents to the school. First cursing the office secretary and then the principal. The attendance record was checked. I'd marked the boy absent. I got called into the office and the phone was thrust into my hand with the father screaming curse words at me. What had I done with his kid? Was I working with the mom? Was she stealing his kid? And was I in on it? This is like soap opera stuff. Eventually, the dad said he'd walked the kid into this classroom that morning. His kid had a substitute teacher and he left the kid with a sub. I had not seen any dad. I also wasn't the sub the kid usually had. The usual sub was pulled to go on a field trip with a different class. I had been called to replace her. That raised the possibility that the missing boy was on a first grade field trip, but this was before cell phones. All the classes that were in the school had to take attendance, while a police car was sent to the field trip site to look for the missing boy. By now, both parents are in the office screaming at the principal. The school secretary, me, and the police officer left at the school. The unmedicated child was finally located with the other sub and the first grade. He'd been fine until the policeman tried to take him out of the fun field trip to bring him back to school. Kid wouldn't get into the squad car. Meanwhile, the bus pulls up with the afternoon kindergartners. We walk in line back to the classroom. I'm trying to wipe the tears off my face. This must be like a split, like you have kindergarten in the beginning of the day and then you have a different group in the end of the day, which doesn't really happen nowadays, but meanwhile, the bus pulls up with the afternoon kindergartners. We walk back to the classroom while I'm trying to wipe the tears off my face. I start taking attendance. I get about halfway through when one of the little girls stands up and confides, Maestra, the boys are lying. Those aren't their right names. And then she proceeds to identify the boys with the other girls backing her up. It was excruciating. The confused and accused office staff and the parents who had cursed, accused me of stealing their child, and the police officer who had not been nice, no one apologized. The boy with hair down to his waist was finally returned to the school around 2. All this was 1,000 times worse for me because previously my kids had been taken out of school by their father on several occasions when it wasn't on the visitation schedule, and I had taken legal interventions to find them. Man. So 2 things there that kind of was not a great day. The first one being that the kid was dropped off to the wrong class, which is totally a parent issue and not the sub's problem. They all love Marissa. They just want to love on her. Which, I mean, I could see how that could be like upsetting for the sub, but it wasn't the sub's fault. Like the sub did everything the right way.
It's probably like everybody taking it out on her. That's probably
because they don't know her and like she's new in the room and like and I don't think that's very fair to do to someone. Like you can't just make a scapegoat just because it makes you feel better. So, but also just keep in mind if somebody tries to make you a scapegoat, it's on them. They got a problem. And then the second thing is the boys lying about their names. What would you do?
With them lying about like their names, I probably wouldn't entertain it. I would probably just fix the thing.
Yeah, just move on.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the best thing to do because when they get a rise out of you, all of a sudden it's just like it's a game and then everything else they do is going to be worse. Okay, we'll do one more. What was your, this is a related question. What was your worst experience as a substitute teacher? I was the regular teacher who needed a substitute teacher for a class. My classes were all behavior classes, and I had prepared a lesson that would work. I was in the school, but attending a meeting with people from the school board. I needed a substitute for most of one period. I didn't know who the substitute teacher would be. I hoped it would be a seasoned person. It wasn't. My cat. It wasn't. I got back to the classroom early to find that the students had removed the lesson plan from the desk. They had convinced the young teacher that they had trained to be hairdressers. When I walked in, they had a raincoat draped across this poor young teacher, and it started cutting the guy's hair. Oh, the young teacher was a guy. They were cutting his hair. They were using my scissors from inside the desk. The rest of the students were over by the window playing poker. Bets were still low. Everything stopped when I entered the room. The poker chips were concealed, the deck of cards placed on the outside of the window ledge. The students with the scissors, there were 2, smiled and said they were just trying to be friendly. The substitute teacher looked foolish. I said that as soon as I figured out how to get up there, I was throwing all of them off the roof. I got the substitute teacher to his feet, looking as he did, and thanked him for coming. I muffled my laughter as best I could. I murmured, "Brats, they keep giving me brats." The bell rang and off they went. The most interesting students a teacher could possibly have, all bunched together and given to me. The things they did every day. How could their other teachers dislike them so much? I went to work for the entertainment value. Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I feel like that's kind of a natural selection thing, because, like, you're really gonna sit there and you're just gonna be like, okay, well, I believe that. I believe you over, like, what's written here from the teacher.
Oh, it says that they stole the plan.
Oh, still. It's like, yeah, that's kind of your fault. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
definitely
going
a
into
natural
a
selection
regular
thing.
school and you're telling me you're all here to be hairdressers.
The fact that you're like, okay, I buy it. Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna get a free
and then
haircut out of
you
this.
sat down and, like, let them cut your hair? That's insane.
Well, and the fact that they put a raincoat over him as the...
Yeah.
Like,
And
what?
wouldn't you think, like, I'm starting to think you guys aren't really hairdressers. These are safety scissors. These are craft scissors. I don't know.
Yeah,
Are you
teachers
sure?
don't have the best scissors. Like, there's been
Yeah.
so many times my kids are like, we need better ones.
It's always those
Sorry.
rinky-dink metal scissors, you know? They're
Yes.
always full metal, and they always suck, and they have that big gap in the middle.
Yeah, they don't fold, or they don't close right, so
Yeah.
they don't cut anything. You got to go all the way to the inside to get any kind of movement with them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, maybe, like, those hints might have, like, also, you're, like, 10. So, I don't know.
How many 10-year-olds do you know play poker, though? That's interesting.
This
This I think this person had a good disposition on it, where they're like, I went to work for the entertainment value. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, do you get mad at because it's either, are you going to get mad at the kids or the grown adults that just believed what they said? That's insane.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I mean, it's kind of your fault. That's a little silly.
Yeah. All right. So that's the end of blind reaction. But our next segment is really, it's just kind of a conversation. But ask a professional. So do you have any questions of, like, anything that has to do with going into the classroom or?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I have, like, a lot, but it's more so, like, protocol, like, what's the exact things that you're supposed to do, because I feel like I am reading too much into it when it comes to that kind of stuff, and it's like, I don't know. But there's, like, some of the training is on, like, what to look out for if, you know, like, kids may be abused at home or something. Have you ever had that happen where you have had to report something because you think a child is being abused? Or,
many times.
and then what were, like, the signs and stuff?
Well, here's the thing, and
like, how did you even approach it, you know?
it's difficult. Especially, I mean, you know my past, you know my history. So for me, it's difficult on 2 levels. Like, as the teacher, I want to make sure that I'm making the right protocol or making the right call. And then, but also I'm dealing with my own emotional turmoil at the same time and having to like kind of push that away for a little while to be able to then do the right thing. And so, and the difficult thing, and this is really and truly something that I'm very passionate about, is that the school board education department of Florida really and truly needs to look at their abuse training and revamp it, because not every kid that screams in your classroom is being abused at home, but also the kid that's quiet in your classroom and well behaved might be. And so like some of the signs and symptoms really that they tell you to look for are not, they're not great, they're not the right ones, and again, that's my opinion, but I mean, you knew me growing up. I was a well-behaved child. Like, granted, I was the loud one. I was the more outgoing one of the three of us girls. But at the end of the day, like, I tried my best not to get in trouble. I tried my best not to be. I tried not to be too loud. I tried to conform to fit what my abuser needed me to be, and that resonated at school, because if my parents had gotten a phone call that I had misbehaved at school, it would have been worse for me when I got home. So I wish that was more clear, but really the best thing to do is be open and be able to listen, because the kids that are not doing well will somehow seek you out. Let's just hypothetical, you take on a long-term teaching, subbing position. The best thing you can do is be there for those kids, because at some point if they know that you care, at some point the child in the room that's being abused is going to come to you and say something along the lines of, you don't understand what's going on at home. And usually that's the biggest indicator that there's something wrong. I know, like for myself, I said that several times to a few different teachers, and it was brushed off, pushed under the carpet, acted like, well, kids don't come with a manual. Yeah, I guess we don't. But there's some basic things that you shouldn't do, So when it comes to that stuff, like, I think just being open and being there, like, the kids will find you if they know that you are a safe place to land. And I will say, I'm very pleased this year. They took kids' mental health and abuse awareness very seriously, and the sheriff's department is now buddied up with the school board, and they did a training at the end of the year about teaching kids to look for a safe adult. And I am so happy about that, because I will tell my kids every single day, I will be your safe person. Like, if you need to talk to me, we step right outside that door. I mean, obviously I keep my door cracked so I can hear the other kids, but nobody needs to hear what that kid has to say. And I listen to them. And that's the biggest thing. And I've had a lot of kids come to me because of that. I broke the law this year. Because the don't say gay law is the big thing now. Like, can't talk about gay, can't talk about pride, can't talk about any of that. Well, I had a student actually come to me this year and tell me that he is gay, and that if he told his parents, they would, because they were very traditional parents. And he had never told a teacher that. And that was all because I created the safe space for him. So, and there was a lot of conversations before and after that, but like I said, just be open and be caring, I guess, is the best thing. So
like, what do you do for, like, do you report it? Do you
always just go straight to the reporting thing? So something I didn't know until recently is that kids can only be interviewed 3 times, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But so since kids can only be interviewed 3 times, if they come to you and they say X, Y, and Z happened, you don't ask any questions, because then they would need to be asked by a patrol officer. They'll need to be asked by a CPS worker. And if they reach their 3 times before the investigation's up, they have to just drop the case. So never ask questions. Just take what they say, and keep it. Don't tell anybody you're reporting. You can report anonymously. I have always told my admin, hey, I have to make this report because I want my admin and I want my counselor at the school to be aware of the situation, because chances are there's going to be somebody coming into the school needing to talk to that child. And then just call as soon as you can. So the number is it's posted everywhere online. It's posted everywhere at the school, and you can do it anonymously. You can also go onto the DCF website now and type it all out. So you don't even have to talk to a person. You can type everything that happened. And what they might do is they might call you after they, see that you sent in the report, just to make sure everything's legit and ask any clarifying questions. So always make sure you give your personal number, because if you give the school number, they may or may not be able to talk to you.
So do you usually approach them first, or you just wait for them to approach you? Because if you're starting to see signs of abuse or something, do you just talk to them after class or pull them to the side?
It depends on the kid. It depends on the situation. If I'm seeing there's neglect happening, because that's the number one you're going to see visually, is the neglect, because they come to school dirty, their clothes, they're wearing the same thing every single day. If I see that they're being neglected, I'm going to have a conversation with them, because I want to make sure that I'm not putting a family that's struggling in an even worse situation, right? So my conversation's going to be oh, you saw you wore those clothes a few times this week. What's going on? Your washing machine broken? Or, something like that. Where it's just an open and honest conversation. Or, sometimes I've had kids with some really bad hygiene, and I've just had to be hey, I'm just pulling you aside because I want you to know, if you need deodorant, I have some extra in the cabinet there, or kind of have that conversation. And that usually leads to them saying, oh yeah, this and this is happening, or my mom doesn't have the money to go get that, or whatever the case may be. And that usually tells me this child's being neglected, or this child is just struggling. And there's been a few times that it's been just the struggle, and I've reached out to the parents and I've been hey, I know people getting rid of some clothes, do you want them for your child? And it's the same size or something like that, so that they don't feel embarrassed. But if it's the child is showing up with bruises, I don't question about it, because I know that they've probably been coached. They've probably been coached on what to say. And I only know that because I've seen it time and time again. Oh, I fell. Oh, this. Oh, that. Those things, as soon as the child shows up with a bruise, the person abusing them is teaching them what to say when someone asks. So I don't question. One bruise, obviously, I'm not calling. Couple ugly bruises, I'm going to be making a phone call so that somebody can just check on their surroundings and make sure they're okay. Now, those are the two. Now we have sexual abuse. That is the hardest one to spot any signs for. It usually tends to come out in a kid being very curious with other kids in the classroom. And when I get reports of this child touched me and I told them not to, or they put their hands down my pants, or they wanted to kiss, or they wanted this or that and the other, that is my first sign that there is some abuse going on, and I need to go ahead and call. And in that case, usually if they've touched somebody other than themselves without permission, I'm having to report that, which then leads to the investigation of them. Because if a kid comes up to me and says, so-and-so touched my private parts, I have to report that child. Even though they're a child, I still have to report them. So, I know it's a lot. But really and truly, if you ever have doubts of what to do, your admin team is going to be there for you. And I've never met an admin team that's ever said oh, it'll be fine. Most admin teams want to make sure that their kids are good, and so they're going to lead you the right way. So never be afraid to ask admin. Never be afraid to have a conversation. I think it's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps, and I hope that helps you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
And Pinterest is going to be your best friend for extra stuff to do with kids if somebody doesn't leave stuff. Y'all leave your lesson plans. For real. Don't put somebody in a bad spot. Don't leave your kids in a bad spot. Yeah. Honestly, why would you do? You are responsible for their learning gains. Don't put them in a bad spot.
I'll cry.
Also, tell your kids that say bad words to stay home.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, that's another tip I was going to tell you. I don't know if you have like a small canvas bag, but I have tons of like treasure box stuff. I know if you do like older kids, they're not gonna want treasure box, but younger kids, if you come and you're like, at the end of the day, everybody gets to pick something, you're gonna have a phenomenal day. So
If you guys aren't little buttholes, you can dig in this cool treasure box.
yeah, the travel
I'm
box.
graduating next year. Like my cousin Julie said that this was a good idea.
Hey, I had a 5th grader this year see my treasure box in the closet. It's like the end of the year, and he goes, Miss Walker, and I was like, what? He always does the head thing too, Miss Walker. I'm like, what? You got a treasure box in here? Yeah. Can I get something from the treasure box? I'm like, you are almost a 6th
At
grader.
your age, I love. I love the treasure box. I feel like I still would love a treasure box.
Oh, you were good today. You get a treasure.
Yeah, like, and then it's always stuff that you're never gonna use again in the treasure box,
yeah.
but you're like, I gotta get in there.
I need this. Yeah.
I gotta get in there somehow. So.
As a parent, I'm sure I'm going to be super annoyed with the treasure box because, excuse me, even when we go to like McDonald's, Burger King, like when he gets those little trinket toys, trash it, throw it away. It's useless. It does
slowly
nothing. It
consume
takes
your
up.
house.
They're everywhere. And I step on them, and I'm like, you're just going to
Yeah.
leave this here for me to... They're worse than Legos. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I take that back. Maybe not worse than Legos, but close.
Yeah, they're never gonna use it again, but you better not throw it out because I want it and I want to keep it.
And then it sits at the bottom of the treasure box, toy box, until I don't know when. They're still at
You
the
just have
bottom
to
of the
make
toy
it
box.
disappear without them noticing. Because if they notice, then it's like, that's my toy, and it's like you didn't even know it existed until I just took it out.
Okay, but does your child notice when you get rid of toys? Because mine
In
does.
front of him, yes.
Oh,
but no, unless it's his letters, because he takes an inventory count of his letters.
I just love him.
Everything else, out of sight, out of mind. So like, if he's not looking, like even when we go to the store, he'll just be throwing stuff in the buggy, and then as soon as he's not looking, I'm like, I'm gonna put it back, and I just slowly put everything out of the buggy. So by the time we get to checkout, I don't have anything that he put in there, and he doesn't even remember. So just like,
See, okay, so Marissa and I are trying really hard to break some cycles. Not that, I'm not saying like there's, some spankings are warranted for children. I'm not gonna lie. If he's about to grab something that's hot, I'm popping his hand, okay? But we're trying real hard not to we're trying to do the gentle parenting thing. So that seems much more gentle than what I do, which is like, Xander, you don't need that. Like, what? No, I didn't tell you to grab it. But see, I'm trying. The teacher comes out and I can't help it.
yeah. I mean that, or I'll just make something up, and for some reason it just makes sense to him. Like, it won't even correlate, but if like he's staring at me and he wants it, I could just be like, I can't put that in the buggy because it's raining outside, and that's why we can't buy that right now because it's raining outside right now.
Really?
And he'll just be like, all right, I mean, makes sense. Like, makes
Xander
sense
would
to
look me dead in my face and be like, why? What does the rain have to do with it?
Yeah, he
Because
just doesn't.
my
ask
kid
why.
questioned me way too much. My therapist says it's a good thing because we're raising him to be a free thinker. But I tell you what, there's some days that I'm like, can you not think
Like,
today?
Think freely to yourself.
Let it not interfere with me, please. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
you.
you had to pet my dog the entire
Oh
time.
no, it was great.
All right. So, guys, don't forget, this is coming out every Friday from now until summer is over, beginning of August. Don't forget to go check out my merch site. Don't forget to go check out, but that's Etsy. Etsy's the merch site. Check out any of my other podcast episodes. Hit subscribe. Subscribe here on YouTube. Subscribe on whatever channel you listen to podcasts. Let's get it growing. And check me out on TikTok. I've been blowing it up over there. I've gained like 30 followers in the last
Really?
2 days. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Stoked. So let's get this out there and let's, leave a little sparkle wherever we go. So, bye.
Bye.